In the bustling metropolis of New York City, the year 2257 heralded an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity. Skyscrapers stretched towards the heavens, their glass facades reflecting the technicolor glow of neon advertisements. Hovercars zipped through the skyways, weaving between the buildings with a balletic precision only achievable through the latest in anti-gravity technology. On this particular afternoon, the city was alive with the usual hum of commerce and chatter, its citizens blissfully unaware of the calamity that was about to unfold. High above the earth, cloaked by advanced stealth technology, hovered a massive Kratoran starship. The Kratorans, a militaristic race known for their ruthless conquests, had intended to use Earth as a strategic waypoint in their latest campaign against a rival star empire. The plan was simple: deposit a cargo of mutant warbeasts on a nearby uninhabited planet to be used as shock troops in an upcoming battle. However, due to a catastrophic navigational error, the ship was positioned directly above Earth. Inside the ship, the commander, a grizzled Kratoran named Zorak, paced the bridge. His scaly skin glistened under the harsh lighting as he barked orders at his subordinates. The crew, trained for efficiency but not for the complexities of interstellar navigation, had miscalculated their trajectory, bringing them perilously close to Earth's orbit. "Confirm coordinates for the drop," Zorak demanded, his voice a gravelly rumble. A nervous technician complied, his claws clacking against the control panel. "Coordinates locked, but sir, they correspond to an inhabited region on Earth, specifically New York City." Zorak snarled, his eyes narrowing. "Irrelevant. Proceed with the drop. The beasts need testing in a populated area anyway. It will provide valuable data for the war effort." As the order was relayed, the belly of the Kratoran ship opened, releasing dozens of containment pods towards Earth. These pods, sleek and nearly invisible to the naked eye, hurtled through the atmosphere, their descent unnoticed by Earth's primitive sensors. Below, the citizens of New York continued their daily routines, oblivious to the danger. The pods impacted in various locations: Central Park, Times Square, and along the banks of the Hudson River. Upon impact, the pods opened, unleashing the mutant warbeasts. The creatures were monstrous, standing over 10 feet tall with armored skin that glistened like wet tar. Their eyes glowed with a malevolent red as they surveyed their new environment, growling low in their throats. Each beast possessed unique abilities. Some breathed fire, others had limbs that could morph into deadly weapons, and all were driven by a primal hunger for destruction. The first screams rang out as the beasts began their rampage, tearing through the city streets with ferocious intensity. Cars were tossed aside like toys, buildings clawed apart, and panic-stricken citizens fled in terror. In a matter of minutes, the city descended into chaos. The local authorities, completely outgunned by the alien invaders, scrambled to mount a defense. News of the attack spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the globe and shaking the foundations of human complacency. As the world watched in horror, a young scientist named Elara watched with a different emotion brewing in her heart: determination. Witnessing the devastation from her laboratory window, she knew that the key to stopping these beasts lay in understanding them. Grabbing her research equipment, she set out into the chaos, driven by a resolve to turn the tide of this unforeseen war. Thus began humanity's fight for survival against a threat from beyond the stars, a fight that would test the limits of human ingenuity and courage in the face of utter destruction. The chaos that enveloped New York City was absolute. The streets, once filled with the sounds of bustling commerce and laughter, now echoed with the roars of the Kratoran warbeasts and the screams of fleeing civilians. Skyscrapers, a testament to human architectural ingenuity, were reduced to mere obstacles as the creatures rampaged through the city. In the midst of this pandemonium, the NYPD and the Earth Defense Force, EDF, were quick to respond, though nothing in their training had prepared them for an enemy of this nature. The beasts were not only ferocious, but displayed terrifying adaptability and intelligence. Each encounter taught the creatures more about human tactics, and they adapted in real time, countering moves with brutal efficiency. Captain Lana Rhodes of the EDF spearheaded the initial response. A seasoned officer with years of experience in urban combat, she knew that standard firearms would be ineffective against such formidable foes. Her orders were clear: evacuate civilians and engage the beasts with heavy weaponry only. "Delta Team, move those civilians out of the Lower East Side now," Lana barked into her communicator, watching through her tactical visor as her commands were carried out with precision. "Bravo Team, set up the sonic cannons. We need to herd them away from populated areas." As the EDF and NYPD coordinated their efforts, makeshift barricades were erected, and sonic cannons, usually used for crowd control, were repurposed in a desperate bid to disorient the beasts. The high-frequency sound waves managed to stall a few of the creatures, causing them pain and confusion, but it was only a temporary measure. Meanwhile, Ilara, the young scientist, found herself weaving through the chaos with a portable genetic analyzer in hand. Her goal was to get close enough to one of the beasts to collect a DNA sample without becoming a casualty herself. As she neared Times Square, where one of the beasts was isolated from the others, she saw her chance. Dodging debris and evading panicked crowds, Ilara approached a side street that the beast had momentarily vacated. She quickly deployed a drone which buzzed toward the creature, skillfully maneuvering around its massive form to collect skin cells from abrasions caused by the skirmish. Just as the drone returned, the beast reeled from the effects of a nearby sonic cannon, its attention momentarily diverted. With the sample secure, Ilara rushed back to her mobile lab, a reinforced van parked just outside the main conflict zone. As she prepared the sample for analysis, her mind raced with possibilities. What could be their weakness? How could this genetic information turn the tide? Back on the streets, Captain Rhodes observed the effectiveness of the sonic cannons and made a decisive call. "Increase frequency and amplitude. Let's push them back," she ordered. The subsequent sonic blast was more effective, herding some of the beasts into less populated areas, where they could be dealt with more safely. The day wore on, and the battle continued. For every beast that fell, another seemed to take its place, each more aggressive than the last. Despite the overwhelming odds, the combined forces of the NYPD and EDF managed to save thousands of lives, evacuating civilians to underground shelters and fortified buildings. As the sun set over the ravaged city, a grim picture emerged. New York was under siege, with significant areas in ruins and others teetering on the brink. Yet, amidst the destruction, there was a glimmer of hope. Ilara, working tirelessly through the night, was on the verge of a breakthrough that could change the course of the battle. Her analysis revealed something crucial about the beast's genetic makeup, a potential vulnerability that could be exploited. With this new knowledge, the fight was about to take a different turn, one that held the promise of reclaiming the city and possibly saving the planet from an alien threat that had landed quite literally in humanity's backyard. As night fell over a besieged New York City, the once vibrant streets were now shadows of their former selves, littered with debris and echoing the distant roars of the warbeasts. The city's infrastructure was severely damaged, and the initial shock of the invasion had morphed into a grim determination among the survivors. Among these survivors was Marcus, a retired EDF sergeant in his late 50s, whose military instincts kicked in as he observed the disarray around him. His home in Queens had become a makeshift command center as he gathered neighbors, local police officers, and anyone willing to fight back. With his grizzled experience and natural leadership, Marcus quickly established a network of resistance cells across the borough. "Listen up," Marcus addressed a group of about 30 men and women in his garage, now lined with maps and digital screens showing live feeds of various city zones. "The military's doing what they can, but it's not enough. We know these streets better than anyone, and that's our advantage." Equipped with scavenged weapons and homemade explosives, Marcus's group started to carry out hit-and-run attacks on the warbeasts. They focused on drawing the creatures into prepared ambush sites, where improvised explosive devices could be used to maximum effect. Each successful attack provided valuable experience and boosted the morale of the resistance fighters. Meanwhile, Ilara, the scientist, continued her work on the genetic sample she had secured. Her analysis had revealed an unexpected anomaly in the DNA of the beasts, a specific genetic sequence that seemed to regulate their aggressive behavior. Realizing the potential of her discovery, she reached out to her former professor, Dr. Heinrich, who specialized in genetic engineering. Dr. Heinrich, operating from a secure lab in upstate New York, responded with keen interest. "Ilara, if you're right, we might be able to synthesize a pheromone that could alter their aggression levels, make them less coordinated, or even turn on each other," he suggested over a secure video link. Back in the city, as Marcus's resistance grew in number and sophistication, they began to coordinate more closely with the remnants of the EDF and NYPD. Captain Lana Rhodes, recognizing the value of the civilian militia, provided Marcus with tactical support and intelligence, creating a unified front against the beasts. The Resistance's activities began to show real results. In one notable operation, Marcus's team lured 3 of the Warbeasts into Central Park, where they had rigged the Great Lawn with explosives and sonic traps. The ensuing battle was fierce and costly, but ultimately, the beasts were defeated, securing a significant area of the city and allowing for a temporary safe zone to be established. This victory was pivotal. News of the successful operation spread quickly, bolstering the city's morale and inspiring other civilian groups across the city to organize and fight back. Marcus's strategy of using guerrilla tactics against the beasts became a model for resistance throughout New York. As Marcus and Lana coordinated efforts for the next major operation, Ilara and Dr. Heinrich worked tirelessly on the pheromone project, racing against time to develop a new weapon in humanity's fight for survival. The stakes were high, but so was the resolve of New Yorkers and the human spirit to reclaim their city from the alien invaders. In the relative safety of her mobile lab, parked in an underground bunker that had once been a parking garage, Ilara was deeply immersed in her genetic research. The walls around her were plastered with diagrams and genetic sequences, glowing softly under the dim light. Her eyes, weary but determined, scanned the data that streamed across her screens, a cascade of genetic markers and anomalies extracted from the warbeasts. Ilara's breakthrough had come unexpectedly. While analyzing the beast's DNA, she had isolated a specific receptor that appeared unusually sensitive to certain high-frequency sound waves. This discovery was accidental, found while cross-referencing the creature's genetic data with existing databases of known species. It was a potential game-changer. "This could be it," Ilara muttered to herself, adjusting her glasses as she prepared a detailed report on her findings. She theorized that by targeting this receptor with a precisely calibrated sonic device, it might be possible to disorient or even incapacitate the beasts. Eager to share this crucial discovery, she contacted Dr. Heinrich and Captain Rhodes via a secure communication link. "I found something, a potential weakness in the beasts. It's linked to their sensory receptors. We might be able to exploit this with the right equipment," she explained, her voice a mix of excitement and exhaustion. Captain Rhodes, who had been coordinating citywide defense efforts, responded with cautious optimism. "That's promising, Ilara. I'll arrange for you to present this to the EDF Tech Division first thing in the morning. We need all the advantages we can get." Meanwhile, Dr. Heinrich was already thinking ahead to the implications of this discovery. "Ilara, if you can refine this sonic device, we might not only defend but also study the beasts in a controlled environment. Imagine what we could learn about their biology." The next morning, Ilara arrived at the EDF headquarters, a heavily fortified area that had been one of the few structures to remain largely intact. Inside a makeshift command center, bustling with military activity, she presented her findings to a panel of top military scientists and strategists. Using detailed simulations and genetic charts, Ilara demonstrated how the sonic device could work. The device would emit a range of high-frequency sound waves, specifically designed to interact with the beast's unique genetic receptor. In theory, this would overload their sensory pathways, causing confusion or temporary paralysis. The military was initially skeptical, but desperate for a new strategy. After rigorous questioning and review of Ilara's data, they agreed to allocate resources to develop a prototype of the sonic weapon. A team of top engineers was assembled to work with Ilara, turning her theoretical model into a functional device. Over the following weeks, Ilara and the engineering team labored around the clock, testing and refining the sonic emitter. They conducted controlled experiments, first in the lab with small-scale models, and later in contained field tests with smaller biological specimens to ensure the device's effectiveness and range. Simultaneously, Marcus, informed of this new development, prepared his resistance fighters to incorporate the sonic weapons into their arsenal. They conducted drills and developed new tactics that would complement the expected effects of the sonic emitter. As the prototype neared completion, the anticipation among the EDF and the resistance fighters grew. This device represented not just a potential turning point in the battle, but a testament to human ingenuity and resilience in the face of a seemingly unstoppable alien threat. The city, though scarred and bruised, braced itself for the next phase of the conflict, armed now with new hope. Ilara, her face reflecting both the fatigue of endless nights and the resolve of a determined scientist, watched as the first batch of sonic emitters was deployed to the front lines, ready to test her discovery in the heat of battle. The siege of Central Park was planned as a critical operation to regain control of a key strategic location in the heart of New York City. This large, once peaceful green space had been transformed into a war zone, with several of the Mutant Warbeasts using it as their nesting ground. The resistance, bolstered by Ilara's new sonic weapon technology, prepared for what was to be a decisive confrontation. Marcus, leading the operation, coordinated closely with Captain Lana Rhodes to ensure that the military and civilian forces were synchronized. The plan was to encircle the park, with teams stationed at all major entrances, each equipped with sonic emitters and heavy artillery. Drones equipped with thermal imaging flew overhead, providing real-time data on the beast's movements. "Remember, timing is crucial," Marcus briefed his teams via a secure channel. "Once we initiate the sonic attack, these creatures will be disoriented, but they'll recover quickly. We have to be swift and precise." As night fell, the operation commenced. The first phase involved deploying the sonic emitters around the perimeter of Central Park. These devices, set on tripods and guarded by heavily armed soldiers, began emitting a high-pitched, almost inaudible sound directed towards the center of the park. The effect was immediate. Several of the beasts staggered, visibly confused and agitated by the noise disrupting their sensory receptors. With the beast disoriented, Marcus signaled for the second phase, a full-scale assault. Resistance fighters, alongside EDF troops, surged forward. Explosions lit up the night as improvised explosive devices and grenades were used to push the beasts towards predetermined kill zones. Ilara, monitoring the operation from a mobile command unit, kept a close watch on the effectiveness of the sonic weapons. Adjusting the frequency and amplitude of the emitters in real time, she played a crucial role in maintaining the upper hand. Her face was lit by screens, her focus unwavering as she communicated adjustments to the field teams. "Adjust frequency to 15 kHz on emitter 3. It's not fully engaging one of the targets," she instructed a technician, who relayed the commands to the team at the northern edge of the park. On the ground, the battle raged. Marcus moved with his team through the dense underbrush, guiding them with expert precision. They encountered a particularly large beast, its scales shimmering in the explosion's light. It was momentarily subdued by the sonic waves, but began to recover and charge. Marcus, spotting a weak spot near its underbelly, signaled his sharpshooters to concentrate their fire. The beast faltered, collapsed, and did not rise again. As dawn broke, the once verdant stretches of Central Park were scarred with the remnants of the night's battle. But the operation had been a resounding success. The Resistance and EDF had managed to clear the park of the Warbeasts, securing a significant victory. The area was declared secure by noon, with EDF engineers and medical teams moving in to set up temporary bases and treat the wounded. The success at Central Park was a turning point. Not only had the sonic weapons proven effective, but the morale among the human forces had been greatly boosted. News of the victory spread rapidly, inspiring other resistance cells across the city and beyond to adopt similar tactics using Ilara's technology. In the aftermath, as they surveyed the damage, Marcus and Captain Rhodes shared a moment of quiet reflection. "This is just the beginning," Marcus noted, looking out over the park, "but it's a good one." Captain Rhodes nodded in agreement. "Thanks to you and your team, and to Ilara's brilliance, we've got a real fighting chance now." The siege of Central Park would be remembered not just as a tactical victory, but as a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. It rekindled hope that the city, and perhaps the Earth, could be reclaimed from the alien invaders. The victory in Central Park was a significant morale booster for both the civilian resistance and the Earth Defense Force, EDF, but it was not without its complications. In the aftermath, as forces regrouped and plans for further operations were drawn up, troubling rumors began to circulate within the ranks. Whispers of sabotage emerged, with critical supplies going missing and communications being inexplicably jammed. Captain Lana Rhodes, already cautious from years of combat, sensed a deeper malice at work. Concerned, she initiated a discreet investigation, fearing that a mole within the EDF might be undermining their efforts. Lana enlisted the help of a trusted intelligence officer, Lieutenant Ayo Kimathi, known for his analytical skills and discretion. Ayo began to trace the patterns of sabotage, correlating them with personnel movements and access logs. The investigation led them to a surprising suspect, Major Evan Kessler, a high-ranking logistics officer with unfettered access to both tactical data and supply chains. Kessler had been a respected member of the EDF, with a seemingly impeccable record and commendations for bravery. However, under the surface, he harbored grievances against the EDF's leadership and, unbeknownst to his comrades, had established clandestine communications with the Craterans. Driven by a blend of personal ambition and disillusionment with Earth's governance, Kessler saw the Crateran force as the inevitable victors and sought to align himself with what he believed was the winning side. Lana and Ayo, needing incontrovertible proof, set a trap. They fed Kessler false information about a major weapons shipment, planning to track its diversion. As expected, the shipment was tampered with, and Ayo's team, using hidden surveillance, caught Kessler in the act of rerouting the supplies to a location known for Kratoran activity. Confronted with the evidence, Kessler was arrested and subjected to a military tribunal. During his interrogation, he revealed chilling details of his communications with the Craterans. He had provided them with strategic information about Earth's defenses and the locations of key assets, including details about the sonic weapons. The betrayal hit the EDF hard, especially Captain Rhodes, who had considered Kessler a friend and a reliable officer. The incident led to a thorough vetting process within the EDF and the implementation of stricter security measures to prevent future leaks. Meanwhile, Marcus and Ilara reacted to the news of the betrayal with a mix of anger and resolve. Marcus tightened security within the resistance, paranoid about similar threats in his ranks. Ilara, on the other hand, worried about the safety of her research and enhanced the encryption on her communications, especially with Dr. Heinrich, regarding their ongoing work on the pheromone project. The betrayal also had a silver lining. The crackdown led to the uncovering of additional Crateran sympathizers within various human institutions, not just the military. This purge helped to solidify Earth's defenses, making the resistance and the EDF more unified and vigilant than ever. As Earth's forces tightened their ranks against internal and external enemies, the war against the Crateran invaders entered a new phase. The betrayal served as a harsh reminder of the stakes involved and the depths of strategy needed to combat an enemy that was always watching, always adapting. It was a painful lesson, but one that galvanized the human forces, binding them together with renewed purpose and a deeper commitment to protect their world at all costs. Following the unsettling discovery of betrayal within their ranks, the Earth Defense Force, EDF, and the civilian resistance, led by Marcus, emerged more vigilant and unified. The purging of Crateran sympathizers had tightened security protocols and solidified trust among the remaining members. With their internal issues addressed, focus shifted back to the looming threat. The Crateran Warbeasts still roaming and wreaking havoc across other parts of the city. Ilara, having perfected her sonic weapon designs, now worked relentlessly on the next phase of her project, the development of a pheromone-based weapon that could potentially turn the beasts against each other. Alongside Dr. Heinrich, she managed to synthesize a prototype pheromone compound designed to trigger aggressive behavior among the warbeasts, causing confusion and infighting within their ranks. Captain Lana Rhodes, recognizing the potential of Ilara's new weapon to shift the dynamics of the battle, planned a citywide operation to deploy the pheromone in conjunction with the sonic emitters. The operation, named Echo Storm, aimed to use the sonic devices to herd the beasts into designated zones, where the pheromone could then be effectively dispersed. The plan was ambitious and required precise coordination across multiple units of the EDF and the Resistance. Marcus took charge of the ground operations, organizing teams to manage the emitters and deploy the pheromone dispersal units at key locations. The operation commenced at dusk, taking advantage of the lower visibility and the nocturnal nature of the warbeasts. As the first phase rolled out, the sonic emitters were activated, sending out waves of disorienting sound frequencies. These guided the confused and agitated beasts towards Times Square, which had been chosen as the epicenter for the operation due to its open space and strategic importance. Once the beasts were sufficiently concentrated, the second phase was launched. Drones, piloted by EDF technicians, soared above the gathered creatures, releasing clouds of the synthesized pheromone. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The warbeasts, already on edge from the sonic assault, began to turn on each other, driven by the induced hyperaggression. The sounds of beastly roars and clashes filled the air, creating a scene of chaos among the Kratoran ranks. From her command post, Captain Rhodes monitored the operation, her face a mask of concentration. Communications buzzed incessantly as updates poured in from various sectors. The operation was proving successful, but the victory was not without cost. Several teams reported heavy resistance, and casualties mounted as they engaged the beasts to keep them within the targeted zones. Meanwhile, Ilara and Dr. Heinrich remotely observed the effects of the pheromone on the beast's behavior. The initial results were promising, but both scientists knew that further adjustments and tests were needed to refine the efficacy of the compound for future engagements. As Echo Storm drew to a close, the battlefield that was Times Square bore witness to a significantly reduced number of Crateran warbeasts. Many had fallen victim to their own kind, thanks to the pheromone-induced frenzy, while others were incapacitated by the continued sonic attacks. In the aftermath, as cleanup crews and medical teams moved in to assist the wounded and assess the damage, a sense of cautious optimism spread among the human forces. The successful implementation of Ilara's innovative weapons had provided a much-needed boost, proving that human ingenuity could indeed find answers to seemingly insurmountable threats. This victory marked a turning point in the conflict. Not only had the humans managed to diminish the warbeast threat significantly, but they had also demonstrated their capability to outthink and outmaneuver the Crateran invaders. The battle for New York was far from over, but for the first time since the invasion began, the people of Earth could feel a real sense of hope, a belief that they could reclaim their planet. As dawn broke over a battle-scarred New York, the air was thick with a mix of triumph and trepidation. Operation Echo Storm had proven a resounding success, marking a crucial victory for Earth's defenders. Yet the war was not over. Intelligence reports indicated that the Craterans, in a desperate bid to maintain their foothold on Earth, were preparing to deploy their final reserve of warbeasts. This upcoming battle was anticipated to be the fiercest yet, as it would likely determine the ultimate fate of the city. In response, Captain Lana Rhodes convened a strategy meeting with key military leaders and Marcus, representing the civilian resistance. The meeting was tense, with the weight of impending conflict hanging over everyone's heads. "We've pushed them into a corner, and they're coming at us with everything they've got," Lana explained, pointing to satellite images showing clusters of warbeast reinforcements moving toward the city outskirts. "This is our chance to end it one way or another." Marcus, battle-hardened and resolute, nodded in agreement. "We've got them on the ropes. Let's not let up now. My people are ready to stand with the EDF. We'll give it all we've got." The plan was set, a two-pronged defense with the EDF securing the primary engagement zones and Marcus's resistance fighters handling guerrilla tactics and support. Ilara contributed by enhancing the sonic emitters and providing additional pheromone charges, ensuring that every available tool was leveraged to maximize their defensive capabilities. As the Kratoran beasts approached, their forms looming on the horizon, the city's defenders took their positions. The streets of Times Square, still marred by the previous night's battle, became the stage for what many believed would be the final confrontation. The beasts charged with ferocious intensity, spurred by the desperation of their handlers aboard the Kratoran ship orbiting Earth. The initial clash was brutal. The EDF's heavy artillery roared to life, sending salvos of explosive rounds into the advancing ranks of warbeasts. Meanwhile, the sonic emitters, strategically placed around the engagement zones, whirred and buzzed, disorienting the beasts and disrupting their coordinated attacks. Ilara, monitoring the effects of the pheromone, directed drones to drop the compound into the thickest clusters of beasts. Infighting broke out among them, sowing chaos in their ranks and diminishing their effectiveness. Throughout the day, the battle raged. The streets echoed with the sounds of gunfire, explosions, and the eerie hum of the sonic devices. Marcus and his fighters moved like shadows, setting traps and striking at the beasts from concealed positions, their intimate knowledge of the city's landscape giving them a significant advantage. As night began to fall, a pivotal moment arrived. A particularly large and evidently enhanced warbeast, possibly a Kratoran commander of the beast forces, made a direct assault on the main EDF barricade. Its armor was thicker than the others, and it seemed impervious to conventional weapons. Seeing this, Marcus took a calculated risk. He and a squad of his best fighters maneuvered behind the beast, while Lana directed a concentrated sonic attack to keep it disoriented. Marcus approached, carrying a specially prepared explosive, a last resort weapon designed by Ilara to penetrate the beast's armor. With precise timing, Marcus planted the explosive on the beast. The detonation was massive, enough to finally bring down the monstrous creature, and with it, the morale of the remaining Kratoran forces. The battle slowly turned in favor of Earth's defenders as the last of the warbeasts fell or fled. The Kratoran ship, observing the defeat, ceased its aggression, likely reassessing its failed strategy. In the aftermath of what would be known as the last stand of Times Square, the city lay in exhaustion and relief. The defenders, both military and civilian, shared embraces and stories, their faces marked with fatigue, but also with the unmistakable light of victory. Captain Rhodes and Marcus stood side by side as the cleanup began, looking over the city they had fought so desperately to protect. "We've done it, Marcus. We've actually done it," Lana said, her voice thick with emotion. Marcus looked out over the city, his expression somber, yet proud. "Yes, we did. Now we rebuild, together." This victory was not just a military success. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the ingenuity of their strategies, and the unyielding courage of those who fought not just for survival, but for their home. In the aftermath of the climactic battle in Times Square, New York slowly began to exhale, releasing the breath of tension it had held for far too long. The Kratorans, having witnessed the fall of their last best beasts, and recognizing the unexpected resilience and tactical superiority of Earth's defenders, finally withdrew their forces. The skies, once darkened by the shadow of the alien ship, cleared as it retreated into the cosmos, a silent admission of defeat. With the immediate threat gone, the focus shifted to recovery and rebuilding. The city, scarred and partially in ruins, was alive with activity, not of warfare, but of reconstruction. Crews worked around the clock, clearing debris and restoring essential services. Amidst the physical rebuilding, there was an emotional healing taking place as well, as the city's inhabitants processed the trauma and loss they had endured. Captain Lana Rhodes, now hailed as a hero, was appointed to lead the newly established New York Defense Command, a body tasked with ensuring the city's security and preparedness against any future threats. Her leadership during the crisis had proven invaluable, and now she was to oversee the protection of her city, ensuring that never again would they be caught off guard. Marcus, who had become a symbol of the civilian bravery and strategic acumen, worked closely with Lana. He helped to integrate the civilian resistance networks into the city's official defense framework. Training programs based on the guerrilla tactics developed during the invasion were set up, preparing the civilians not just to defend their homes, but also to be an integral part of the city's ongoing security measures. Elara, whose scientific contributions had been crucial to the victory, turned her focus to advancing human knowledge about alien technologies and biology. Along with Dr. Heinrich and other scientists, she founded the Earth Advanced Research Network, EARN, dedicated to studying the remnants of Kratoran technology and biology. Her work, once focused solely on defense, now explored broader questions about humanity's place in the cosmos and the potential for future contact, whether hostile or peaceful, with other alien civilizations. The government, reflecting on the crisis, passed the Earth Unity Act, aimed at strengthening global cooperation in defense and research. New York, as the epicenter of the conflict, hosted the first Global Unity Conference, where leaders from around the world laid down plans for a unified planetary defense system, inspired by the cooperation seen during the city's darkest days. As life returned to its new normal, the city held a remembrance ceremony in Central Park, now fully restored to its former green splendor. Thousands gathered to honor those lost during the invasion, with speeches from Lana, Marcus, and other key figures who had led them through the crisis. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a monument depicting a pair of human hands holding up the earth, symbolizing humanity's resilience and united spirit. As the ceremony ended, families stayed behind in the park, children played, and people talked about their hopes for the future. The atmosphere was tinged with a palpable sense of renewal and possibility. Elara, standing slightly apart from the crowd, watched the families with a thoughtful expression. Dr. Heinrich joined her, handing her a steaming cup of coffee. "A new beginning, eh?" he said, gesturing to the joyful scene before them. "Yes, a new beginning," Elara replied, her eyes reflecting the deep blue of the early evening sky. "We've learned a lot about what we can endure and what we can achieve. Now, it's about what we can become." Their conversation drifted to their upcoming projects, but both were aware of the deeper truth behind their words. Humanity had not only survived, it had evolved, stepping into a future filled with new dreams, new challenges, and a new understanding of its own strength and unity.